Hi, friends. Today I am announcing the Bookish Galentines and February's Tiny Delights with a song to celebrate the beautiful tiny delights that February offers us and to celebrate our Bookish Galentines, the female authors that we love and that we go to for comfort or inspiration. February is the month of snowdrops, these beautiful, delicate flowers that we spot during February and that get many people so excited when they spot them, when they appear in the parks. There are snowdrop festivals, snowdrop trails. For this readathon, there are different prompts inspired by the different names that these beautiful flowers have. The first one is to celebrate Galentine's Day, and the name of the prompt is Galanthus and Galentines. Galanthus is the Greek name for a snowdrop. Gala means milk and anthus means flower. Read a book about a friendship or that has an element of friendship. And we have a prompt to celebrate Valentine's Day, and the name of the prompt is Snowdrops and Valentines. Read a romance or a book that has a romance element. Two old names for snowdrops are Maids of February and Candlemas Bells. I think they sound very poetic. Those are names that were used very often in the past. Maids of February was used by Lord Tennyson, his famous Victorian poet. And so I thought I would love to read something published during the Victorian time. For the Maids of February, read a Victorian book. I think there are lots of options, and the Candlemas Bells prompt is to read a historical fiction book. And there is a February's Tiny Delights bingo. This is about getting tiny delights with the events that we celebrate in February and the tiny delights that we can spot. If you read a romance, you get a snowdrop for Valentine's Day. If you read a book with a friendship, then you get a snowdrop for Galentine's Day. If you read a Victorian book, then you get a Fair Maids of February snowdrop. And if you read a historical fiction book, you get a Candlemas Bells snowdrop. And if you read two books that are set during the same period, then you get another snowdrop. Also, you get a snowdrop if you spot it. And if you read a winter book to celebrate the end of winter, if you spot a winter flower, then you get a winter aconite. And if you spot a spring flower, you get a crocus. Northanger Abbey is one of my favorite Jane Austen books. It is lighthearted and also it's full of adventure, and there's also a romance. I think it's the perfect Jane Austen for February. Anne and her daughters. When Anne and her daughters discover that they are penniless, she decides to move back to her hometown in Scotland, and she moves back with her three daughters. The first one, Helen, she is looking for refinement and excitement, so she quickly moves to Edinburgh. Then there is another daughter, Rosalie, who begins to come into her own because she isn't anymore in the shadow of Helen. And then there is Jane, and she finds an education as a secretary for a very eccentric biographer that lives in this town, Sang in the Morning. It is an autobiographical, fictionalized book by Elizabeth Cadell, a beloved vintage author, and it's about how she grew up with two beloved friends in India at the beginning of the 1900s. Brides and Bouquets at Cedarwood Lodge. I like that this is a short one and is part of a series. This is about Cleo, who is preparing a wedding expo, and Cleo is is trying to create the best concept for the perfect Christmas wedding. The Unselected Journals of Emma M. Lyon. Their year is 1883, and Emma had returned to her London neighborhood of St. Crispian's. But Emma's plans for a charmed and studious life are sabotaged by her eccentric cousin Archibald, her formidable aunt Eugenia, and her quirky neighbors. I love it because it's a diary. Emma documents the curious realities of her life at Lapis Lazuli House. And this is the cherry on the top. Readers have compared this book with Jane Austen, P.G. Wodehouse, and L.M. Montgomery. Mr. Harrison's Confessions, a short novel by Elizabeth Gaskell, a Victorian author. It is about Mr. Harrison, a young doctor who moves to a very small village on the English countryside, and all the women of the town are very interested in him. It is a funny, light-hearted book. Bookish Galentines are those authors that feel like friends, authors that inspire us. We can read a book by them when we need comfort, when we want to feel cozy. In my case, is D.E.Stevenson. There are always cozy moments in D.E.Stevenson's books, strong friendships, strong family relationships, and lots of slices of life, which I love and find comforting. There are several questions which recur again and again in letters from friends and acquaintances. Perhaps I should try to answer them. The first is, why do you write? I write because I enjoy writing more than anything. It is fascinating to think out a story and to feel it taking shape in my mind. Writing a book is the most exciting adventure under the sun. I've had no hair-raising adventures nor traveled in little-known parts of the world, but wherever I have been, I have made interesting friends and I still retain them. Friends are like windows in a house, and what a terrible dull house it would be that had no windows. They open vistas, they show one new and lovely views of the countryside. Friends give one new ideas, new values, new interest. Thank God for friends. The Blue Sapphire has really beautiful descriptions of spring. The protagonist is a young woman. She has to overcome some very difficult circumstances. She is alone and has to start again in London. She falls in love, and we see if that relationship is going to work. And at the same time, this book has more adventure, and a big part takes place in Scotland. This brings me to another favorite, Fletcher's End. I especially enjoy the first part of the book. We hear a lot about the house and a lovely lady who takes care of the house. And that led me to continue with D.E.Stevenson. I read Belle Lamington. It starts at the beginning of spring in London. It was also a lovely story about a young woman who is starting again. A book that I also enjoy a lot was Victoria Cottage, which is about a woman who already has grown up children and she lives in a very small village. She is living a peaceful life, although her husband was really difficult, but she always tried to deal with that with grace and kindness. One day, a stranger comes to the village, and I love how the relationship with this stranger develops. hope you have a wonderful February, and I would love to hear if you are going to be able to participate in this readathon. Please let me know in the comments if you have spotted some snowdrops already, or crocuses, or winter aconites, and in which mood are you? Are you still in the mood to read winter books, or are you in the anticipation of a spring mood? I hope you have a wonderful February. Thanks so much for watching, and I will be seeing you very soon with another bookish video. Bye!